Now it's my time to get my own wings. Sadly to say, Alexandria Faith Clark died at the age of 15 while laying under her favorite weeping willow tree by the lake in her hospital bed. Her parents went on to have two beautiful twin girls, Faith and Hope, and the next year, twin boys, Isaiah and Joel. They also started the Alexandria Faith Cystic Fibrosis Foundation for Low-Income Families, just as Alexandria had instructed in her arrangements. Nobody never saw the angels, but they knew Alexandria was there with them when the babies would play and laugh at the air. The end. All right, y'all still with me?
Yes.
All right, so what are y'all comments on this story?
You had a lot of detail, different.
Y'all sound you sound a little choked up there. Okay, go ahead.
There's a lot of details in it, and like feelings and like different emotions and stuff with it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's one that really jerks on your emotions. You don't know whether to smile or cry.
Yeah.
All right, and how about the characters? I mean, Tanya, you want to say anything?
Well, one thing that came to mind was rainbow babies. Like, you had rainbow babies after rainbow babies in that one, because they were babies being born after loss, transition, and just building hope upon something that was so hurtful.
Oh, yes. Yes, definitely. Building hope. Oh, yeah. And the main thing of this story was to basically tie angels' faith in God to something that happens every day. It's people being diagnosed with cystic fibrosis all the time. And at the beginning of the story, like your story had the miscarriage awareness, this one did too. This one had it at the beginning of the story itself, but she didn't miscarriage, but she was told that she would not be able to have any more children. So she wasn't expecting to have any children. She wasn't expecting to have any children, but because of God's favor on her life, she didn't only have 2 children; she had 4 by the end. But her daughter was the sacrifice. Her daughter was the sacrifice for that. All right. Any more questions or comments on that? All right. I ain't gonna lie, I write emotionally, y'all. Sometimes when I get to writing emotionally like that, I get right into character. My daughter walked in this house and said, "What's wrong with you?" I said, that girl about to die. I said, that girl about to die. All right. Can y'all hear me?
Mhm.
Okay. So next, if you got your pencils and papers, I'm trying to, y'all got to excuse me if you hear these papers going off because I did not use a tablet today. So one thing that we can say about short stories is that they are very descriptive. They get right to the point. So what's why is it important for us to have short stories? Does anybody know?
So go ahead and say what you got to say, get to the meaning of it.
Exactly. That's what it does. The short stories allow you to get directly to the point of it without having to go through all of these details and stuff. So one of our words, that's what it is. That's why we need short stories. It's not that, we have short attention spans, but sometimes somebody just wants to get directly to it. We need to skip some things in order to get directly to it. I'm looking for y'all vocabulary words. Okay, so does anybody know the difference between a novel and a short story? Okay, so the difference between a novel and a short story is short stories are shorter than novels. All it is word count. That's the only difference really between there. Short stories are from anywhere from 1,000 words with 300, 200 words to 20,000 words. Anything less than 1,000, though, is actually considered a flash fiction, and that's what we just did. And that's one thing that's coming very popular now is the flash fictions. Do y'all remember back on Facebook whenever they would like finish the story and people would write different sentences or paragraphs on it when they was doing the short story challenge and stuff? Actually, that was called a flash fiction. But anything longer than 20,000 words is considered a novel. And if you like writing in if you want to ever write for a magazine, you pretty much need to be able to write at least up to 5,000 words, which that's very important. Now, one thing that was dealing with me on these short stories whenever I was writing and when I began to pray over this class was that God was dealing with me in the area of don't despise small beginnings. These small beginnings like this, because you never know how your creativity is going to work. This class here may be setting you up for something greater. It may be setting you up for your own book. It may be setting you up to go write for somebody else. And in order to, use it to the full potential, we have to do all of this stuff. So I want to encourage you ladies to continue writing. Don't stop writing if you don't have time. Write a paragraph at a time, to get it in there. Because at the end of these 6 weeks, I am going to, well, we ain't got 6 weeks now. We got 4 left. But at the end, I am going to tell y'all how y'all can get some of your writings out there. And that can be a source of income, too. It can be a source of income. Cause I'm getting ready to start putting my stuff out there. It can be a source of income, too. I do this with other people all the time, but I never do it for myself. But I'm going to start doing it for myself. Okay, so your first vocabulary word is protagonist. Does anybody know what a protagonist is? It's your main figure or character, the main character. The one who is the center of attention, the one who makes all the decisions and who goes through the experience and has to deal with the consequences, better known as the good guy. The good guys always get done wrong in stories all the time. But at the end, although they go through their consequences in the middle, at the end they always win. They always end up winning most of the time. So that's what a protagonist is the main character, the center of attention. Now, in Tanya's story, Tanya, who would you consider being the main character in your story?
It would be Keisha.
Okay, that's what I would think too. Okay, and we already know Blossom is for Amanda. Okay, so in mine, who do y'all think the main character is? Because mine is tricky.
I think it started off being in Alexandria, and then it went to her mom.
Okay. Actually, it's the mother. The mother is the main character. Alexandria, she only has a small part at the beginning, and that's like, hey, help me find my shoes, and then she's out of there till the very end. She doesn't even come back till the end. So the mother is actually the main character in my story. And, sometimes you have to be able to tell the difference in them. And it's hard sometimes to tell the main characters, especially when you have a tricky story like that. You would think that the main idea of the story would be Alexandria dying from cystic fibrosis, but it's really not. The main focus of the story is watching a mother struggling, a mother who had been struggling. And, even her daughter told her, the angels put the money down before you so that you would pick it up. They knew that she was struggling. So it's about a woman struggling and learning how to lean on God to get through, through her every day for her needs and stuff. And even during the time of her daughter's passing, she had to lean on God. And Alexandria, all Alexandria was a light. She just guided her where she needed to go. That's what Alexandria was to her. Okay, so that's what a protagonist is. God, I'm losing my voice. Hold up. The next word is antagonist. It's a noun, so it's a person who opposes or is hostile to the protagonist. In other words, it's the opposite. The antagonist is the bad guy, the person who just keeps doing stuff and playing tricks and all that stuff for no reason at all. The mean guy, the villain. He's the one that always is your, how can I say? He's always the one that's trying to bring you down, but that ain't the word I'm looking for, though. But he's the one who always is pushing your buttons, he or she. In the story we have antagonists. Like in Tanya's story is actually good on that one, because in Tanya's story, the dad was the antagonist. He came back home from prison, and he still wanted to show his butt. So he was the bad guy. He was the reason why the mother had to go through the consequences of losing the child, and that the daughter, Keisha, had to go through anxiety and fear because of her antagonist, which was her dad. All right. Any more questions on that? Any comments on that? So to have a great short story, that's what we need. We need both of it put in there together. Okay, so I'm trying to find my thing. Y'all give me just a second. Just a second. Okay. So when it comes down to characters, how did you choose your characters, Tanya?
Honestly, they kind of chose me. The names were just bouncing around in my head. And I just had to figure out where they were going, where they were going to take me to. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but that's the way it works for me.
No, actually, that's not crazy. That's actually what writers do. As a writer of a short fiction story or whatever, it's, whatever your beliefs is, that's what it is. It's to put all those personalities together to make a whole story complete. You need those different personalities when they jump in your head like that. Sometimes they're just already there floating around. Y'all had to excuse me, I had to cough. Okay, so in our characters, in order to develop a really good character, you got to have a good name. You got to know the age range. That's why I was like, what is she in? What type of schooling is she in? Hold on a minute, y'all. I'm still dealing with some allergies. Okay. So, like in Amanda's story, the age makes a difference. In your story, the age made a difference because both girls were teenagers in both stories. And even in my story was a teenager. We all three had teenagers. Ain't that something? Mm-hmm. But those teenagers, they have a way of perking up a story. They have a way of perking it up because we want the vibrance there. We want the fruits of youngness being in the air, while yet we're dealing with adult situations. So the name and the age is very important when developing your characters Also knowing what ethnic background they are. What is their race? You know, that's all goes